Good morning, everyone. Welcome to On the Couch. And it is Saturday, 11 a.m., and we're going to get started. So, we are always here providing vital content to our communities. So, welcome and have a seat on the couch with us. I'm bringing in Miss Rajanta, and we are going to talk about some vital topics for our community at large. Good morning, Rajanta. How you doing this
Good
morning?
morning. I am well. I am well. I'm good. I'm
You're
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yes, you are good. I am good. I was on vacation, everybody. So you all know I did go away for like 10 days on
How
a
was
cruise.
that? You took a whole.
That,
How was
you
that?
know what? Actually, it was fun. But my
Got
husband and
homesick.
I, we made it fun. We made it
Okay.
fun. The cruise line we went on was Norwegian. So if
Okay. Well,
anyone
that
ever
that
went
says
on
it all.
Norwegian,
That says it all. Carnival's a party ship.
yeah, Carnival is a party ship. We went on Norwegian, but we didn't realize that the ship we went on was really catered to mostly the older crowd. We didn't
Yes.
realize that. They had the scooters going around,
Mhm.
and we were like, wait a minute, what's happening here? So we just made our own fun. So we ended up going to Dominican Republic,
Nice.
San Juan, Puerto Rico. We went to
Nice.
St. Thomas and the Virgin Islands. And we were
Okay.
supposed to go to Bermuda. However, the weather did not permit, so we were not able to go to Bermuda. But we did have a good time overall, I think because it was more relaxing, you
Yes.
know.
Yes. How was the food? Did you gain like 10 pounds?
You know what? I did get on the scale and I felt it. I felt it before I left. I was like, "Ooh,
Yes.
my pants is getting tight." But I said, it's going to start getting warm soon, so I'm going to be able to
Yes.
walk some, and I am going to start at least dedicating 20 minutes a day, or at least 3 days out of the week, to do some exercise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we do need to do that for self-care. And listen, everyone, please, self-care. We promote that a lot on this platform, about taking care of yourself, and we all need to practice that, taking care of ourselves, going, checking on our heart and everything. And this is
Mm-hmm.
Heart Health Month, cardiac month, and especially for women of color. And how the heart actually, a lot of people have lost their lives, because they
Mm-hmm.
didn't recognize the signs of a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
So because this is important, not just because this is the month of Black history and the month of also Valentine's Day and all of that, please look deeper about why this month is so important, especially for
Absolutely.
women. you know
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's important, that we all take care of our heart. Recognize signs. If your blood pressure is high, just go, and especially if it's chronically high, you have a headache, go to your doctor and seek some help, because you may have high blood pressure and you
Yes.
don't realize it, or you may be having a stroke and you don't
Yes.
realize it. So please make sure that you are going to get the help that you need. Okay, it's not
Doctor.
just I just
Go
have
to
a
the doctor.
go to a doctor, right? It is important, because if you sitting on WebMD, don't do it.
Mm-mm.
You you were
Diagnosing yourself.
diagnosed.
Diagnosing yourself up all night, stressed out because now you think you got something that you don't even have. Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of people do that. They go to WebMD and be like, Lord have mercy, I think I'm on my way out of here.
Absolutely.
And it's not true. But people get really upset and scared, and they don't know what to do with that. So I'm telling you, folks, ladies and gents, if you when you watch us later, and if you're watching us now, please, please go to the doctor and get
Yes.
properly diagnosed. Don't sit there and try to diagnose yourself, because I think a lot of us are guilty of that anyway.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow. So I wanted to share something with you today about sisterhood,
Mm-hmm.
something that I just recently experienced, and just kind of overall experience with the negative side of sisterhood in general,
Mm-hmm.
or what we think sisterhood is supposed to be. Because
Mm-hmm.
I can perceive sisterhood as one thing, you can see it as something else, and someone
Absolutely.
else sees it as something else. What I want to talk about is the insecurities of other women and you say that you're a sister to that person, or y'all in one cohesive group, and you're saying, hey, I'm a sister, I know what true sisterhood is, but yet you wish for that person demise, or you don't want them to do well, or you talk behind their back because that's all you can do instead of talking to the person about things. Or it boils down to me that, one, you have a problem with yourself, but number two, you don't love yourself as a Black woman. As we were talking offline, you don't love yourself as a Black woman, so you can't love another Black woman that's not doing anything to you.
Absolutely. And we have a different walk of life. Us, not only as women, but in particular us of Black women. So we walk a different type of life than other women have. We have different types of responsibilities. We have different types of traumas. We experience things just differently. Right. And, it's always, I just think of things just as an underlying issue. Like, what happened to get you this way? Like, people don't wake up one day and become just one type of way. It's usually because of past experiences, past traumas, disappointments, letdowns that really kind of determines where they go. It doesn't mean that if you become one way, you can't change, but sometimes we don't even see it as, us needing to change. We don't kind of see us being, problematic, or us having challenges.
Right, exactly. And what it does for me, and again, I can just only speak for me, that it turns you away from what you're trying to accomplish. Like, if you are trying to give back and do good things and stay on a good path, but then you have these mean women, I'm not even gonna call them mean girls, because they're supposed to be in a woman's body at this point. You're supposed to be formed as this woman, so you should have come out of being that or having that childish type behavior. But some women are just in the form of the body of the woman, but still think as a little girl. So I see them as the mean woman now, a crew of them together and sitting back and just having conversations and making assumptions instead of asking questions. The assumption part is your narrative. You're creating a negative space. You're creating the negative story for the person that you're not even talking to. That is another issue. And as you said, it's your internal issue. Whatever trauma or whatever you experience in your life, it is someone else's problem all of a sudden. No, that I don't want to own your issue, because you don't know what issue I have. However, if I'm being kind to you, nice to you, not stabbing you in the back, why do I deserve that?
Absolutely. I've come to realize that there are just some unkind people in the world. Because of whatever reasons, there are some people who just have never got to that point of happiness, who've never been able to reach the milestones of even getting to that point of being fulfilled in any way. So because of that, if you don't have those tools, how do you know how to react? How do you know how to love yourself or even love somebody else?
Right. Amen to that. But what I would say is what you suggested offline too, is that start loving yourself. Now, we're speaking from a professional standpoint here, and also as other Black women. Please look at yourself and recognize and take responsibility for your actions. Do not put that on someone else, because that person may be confident. A organization or a group of people don't define you. You should be defining yourself. Some of us come in established already.
Yes.
We're not seeking to be established by anyone, or getting approval for anyone to be in existence around someone else. We shouldn't have to walk around that way, or feeling like we're walking on eggshells around other women. It doesn't make sense to me that we have to deal with that. And ladies, as Black women, we're already dealing with a lot of adversities. We have white women against us. We have Asian women against us. People in general against us. We even have Black men. Some Black men out here are against us. So why do you continue to perpetuate the same behavior? I don't understand.
Do you think it's more or less competition? Do you think it's insecurity or jealousy? Because sometimes people really secretly want to be who you are and get to the space that you're in, but may not know how to verbalize that.
I do think it's a combination of things. Everything that you just said, it's all of those things. But it also comes down to you working on yourself. So that means you need to go backwards in your life and see who damaged you as far as women.
Mhm. Mhm.
Someone, a black woman in your life damaged you, and then you carrying it to this day. So a small thing that might trigger you, you
Mhm.
hold on to it forever. I have seen people hold on to things and go around and just keep talking about it to other people, talking about it because they need someone to co-sign with them, or they need them to come on board to dislike
Yes.
this person.
The hate train, or even validate
Mhm.
what they said. Mhm.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. Going out of your way to do that is harmful. You're harming yourself. And even when it doesn't even bother the other person, you're still trying to find a way to
Mhm.
get through to that person or harm that person. So come on, let's all get on here and let's do this, let's do that.
Mhm.
Okay, but at the end of this all, if you're strong in who you are, you're going to keep moving. You're not going to worry about those little things.
Absolutely.
I just say, sisters, work on you. Okay.
Mhm.
If you feel in your heart, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, hey, you know what? I don't like this person, such and such. What list the reasons why? Did the person do something personal to you? Did they come in your house and wreck your life? Did
Mhm.
they take your husband, take your boyfriend? Did the person do any of those things? Because if they didn't do any of that, and it's just your insecurities, then face the fact that you're insecure about stuff and just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Work on that. Work on it. None of us are perfect.
And we're not perfect, and we're not going to kind of like everybody that we encounter,
Right.
right? But just don't go
That's
out
true.
your way to kind of make their lives miserable, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can agree
Exactly.
to disagree and keep your distance, but just don't
Mm-hmm.
go out your way to single-handedly try to take someone down. That's harmful and
Exactly.
resentful.
It is. It is. And it's that's where, we've had a couple of our roundtable talks when I randomly asked a question about trust. This is
Mhm.
how trust is broken with people, because one minute you're going to see people for who they are, right? And you will say, you know what, I'm just going to give them a clean slate. Everything is good. I might have heard something about the person, but
Mhm.
I know for me, I never judge a person based on what someone
Mhm.
else is telling me. I want to interact with the person, and I might have a different outcome with that person. Now, if the
Mhm.
person burns me in the end, then I'm going to deal with that accordingly with that person. And I
Mhm.
know that that friendship wasn't what it was supposed to be.
And that's very
But
mature of you, because not everybody's at that space,
yeah,
um, to just be able to go off their own opinion or go off their own interaction with people. Unfortunately, some people are heavily influenced by others and other
hmm,
people's thoughts about certain things, and unable to kind of
yeah,
really just get their own notion about how they might feel about a person. So
yeah,
that's very mature
exactly.
to kind of be able to get to that space and be in that space.
Yeah, yeah, and it take hard work, it really does. It's not like, again, we're not perfect human beings. We don't wake up and be like, I'm so perfect, I don't let anything bother me. No, that's not true. We're human. We Things affect us, and then we got to know to, get up and say, hey, I can move forward, and I'm going to be okay. So we just have to do those things and pay attention to things that or people that may harm us. Think
Yes.
about how you will remove yourself from that and
Yeah.
not engage in that. And then when the time it serves itself or it's open, then you can address it in the best manner that you can. And usually it's better if you can do this on one with a person, if they're
Mhm.
willing. If they're not willing and they're not mature, then go move on. Don't even
Absolutely.
worry about it, because it's not even worth it at that point.
And I appreciate you saying one on one, because not everything needs an audience, right? I
Hmm.
think people respect you more when you can kind of pull them to the side and voice your
Yeah.
concern instead of waiting for
Yes.
an audience to kind of be there.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, I just wanted to kind of, touch on that experience and share my experience, so everybody knows out there too. We go through stuff. We are here on this platform on the couch, but we're on the couch together to talk about things that happen to us also, and we can experience things and show you how real we are, so then you can say, hey, you know what, they're experiencing something, and we may be able to help somebody else that might be going through something we're going through. You
Absolutely.
know, so don't ever, for us, we don't ever want to put on a facade so people would think that, oh, they all have it together. No, that's not
No, I'll be
necessarily
busting
the
at the
case.
seams. I can be busting at the seams at any given moment. Okay. Any given
So
moment, I gotta put my coping skills in place. Okay. So
right. And that's the, see, I'm glad you brought that up, coping skills, because we need coping skills, and we need to know how to tap into coping skills and work, you know, utilize them, and when we drop those coping skills in. And it depends
yeah.
on the issue and
And
the
it takes
problem.
practice.
It
Listen,
does.
Dr. Diamond, I went to a sound meditation gathering a couple weeks ago. So it was sound meditation and yoga, deep breathing. So black couple, and they brought it to the gym, and it was really, really nice. We journaled. It was really nice. But the thing is
Hmm.
that, you know how we tell our clients, oh, coping skills, deep breathing, all these, like I said, everything's not going to work. You know,
No.
we're all individuals. So I tried the
Yeah.
deep breathing, and I swear, like, it was not. I felt like I was hyperventilating. You know, that's why I tell my clients, if you know you have an issue with panic attacks, or if I think my breaths just weren't right. You know,
Hmm.
I kind of paced
Hmm.
myself. But once I was
Yeah.
able to get there, I actually was like at peace, and I actually was falling asleep, like dozing off during the process. So it was a great, great experience. But I know that deep breathing is something that is difficult for me because that's not something I use all the time. You know, so
Right.
once I start practicing that technique, I can kind of get better with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's, I'm glad you were able to recognize that
Hmm.
experience and then share that experience, because you're absolutely right. What works for one person don't work for another person, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Um Again, we're learning this even in our own professions,
Hmm.
that when we are helping people, we can't just say, hey, I'm going to use cognitive behavioral therapy for everybody. You can't
Yeah.
use that for everybody, because that's not always the situation with what
Yes.
they're bringing to you. You know,
Yes.
if I have a woman that's going through trauma, or a male that's going through trauma, then I'm going to be doing inner child work, because
Hmm.
that's how deep it is. It is not just at the surface of
Hmm.
whatever the trauma is, because every day we go through trauma. You may
Yes.
not realize it, but you are. Every day when you get into a car and you're driving and you happen to jerk or whatever, because you're trying to save yourself from getting
Right.
harmed, that's traumatic in
And I
those
always
two
say I
minutes.
got angels. I always say, like, oh my God, I could have
Me
died.
too.
I got
Me too.
angels somewhere.
Because it is some real nuts out there. Like, they road rage, and you are dealing with people that just don't care for other people's lives.
And
You
it's
also have
unfortunate.
some real Karens out there.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Do you think about when you think about, you know, when you were younger and growing up now, do you think like the world is kind of getting more careless than what it once was? Or maybe back
Yes.
when it wasn't really televised as much as it is now? Do you
I
think this is
think
going on?
I think it is televised more, because growing up in the 70s, because I was born in 72. So
Hmm.
growing up in the 70s, you know, and when I can recognize what's going on around me, you will be getting closer to like maybe 78, 79, 80, paying attention
Hmm.
to what's happening. And yes, crimes did happen, but not as significant as this. Like, it is all the time, it is ongoing. Even the police killings, I think we know that the brutality was happening, but we never saw it live. Like, we can watch it,
Gotcha.
you know, we're watching it, we're seeing it, but I do think it's progressively worse.
Hmm. Now, as far as the
Um,
police killings, do you think that like this stuff? Because I think about, you know, the Deep Crow South and the Jim Crow laws, and I think about, you know, that stuff that was going on more or less back then. Do you think
mhm.
that, you know, with the police brutality is something that's always been there, but now like everybody, like us people up north, are kind of seeing it more play out?
You know what, you're right. I think in the South, or we all know from the South, their rules are so different than ours.
Hmm.
And yes, it has crept up, but I always thought police brutality was always there.
Okay.
And then as these people migrate from one place to the next. So say, let's look at it like this. I, as a police officer, harm someone. My police department told me to leave there. I
Mm,
go somewhere else and I
mm,
could possibly go up north. I'm
yeah.
still carrying the same behavior with me that's toxic.
Mm,
Therefore, I'm going to bring other willing officers in that's toxic like me. So if
wow.
we're all toxic, we can go run the street and terrorize everybody. So I
Mm,
do believe that it happened there, but it crept up here as much as possible. And then you
mm,
have some people that are just, that's just the way they are. Like that's their personality. They don't like certain people, they don't like certain groups. They go into law enforcement and then they're bullies. There
mm-hmm.
also have been people that have been bullied themselves, and this goes back to, as I was talking about trauma. You're
Mm-hmm.
bringing your trauma out on other people because you don't like their skin. That's unacceptable, but that's the reality of this world. People are talking about like Black America, and I don't know if you're hearing this or not, but Black America at this point is co-signing with Trump because they
Mm-hmm.
believe Trump has did all of these things. Trump did not do all of
The
those
checks,
things.
right?
The
People,
stimulus check, he didn't do that.
mm-hmm.
But Black people, some of us are sleeping at the wheel. You hear me? Sleeping
Mm-hmm.
at the wheel. And they believe this man did all of this stuff. Do you understand our Black folks, all of you, Hispanic, all of us, white, Black, don't matter. If he comes back in, he is going to make this a dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line,
And I
it
don't
is
think
going to
people
be a
really
dictatorship.
prepared. I don't think people really prepared for it to happen. And that's what bothers me. Like we kind of see this glitz and glamour. Oh well, he did this and he did that. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of being closed minded of just the message now that's going on. Even with the sneakers, right? You see, you got the
Yeah,
sneakers. I'm
yeah.
waiting. I'm waiting to see who's going to buy those $350 sneakers and who's going to wear them to work. I'm like, are you serious?
But people do buy these sneakers that are very expensive. My son is guilty of that too. Like
No,
he
the
goes
Trump,
out.
no, the Trump
Oh,
sneakers.
the Trump sneakers. I
Yes.
haven't even seen them.
Oh
He
yes,
has Trump
they
sneakers.
yes, they came out. I want to say a couple, maybe like a week or so ago.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
they're $350 around that. They're gold, and they got. Listen, I am waiting to see
I
how this is
know.
going to pan out, and how this is going to
I
affect us as a
see.
whole.
I see. And you see, can I say this? And I'm going to be very honest here. You know who this triggers or feeding into? Black folks. That's why he did this.
Mhm.
Because who wear most of those sneakers? Jordans and all of these expensive sneakers, Balenciaga, all those sneakers. Usually Black folks are wearing this. He knows what he's doing. You know
But
what?
whether or not individuals are smart enough to kind of see that, that's the issue. So when it comes time, and in fact he's reelected, like I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
Like
because
I don't want to. Yeah.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna turn to the comment section. And to your question about the police brutality and the origin of it, like you said, the South moving up to the North, the comment is, I think it's always been there, and technology is bringing the seriousness to what's happening to light. More people are no longer just hearing in fear, now we're seeing in fear.
Yes.
I agree with that. Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with it. And we get a chance to see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think
Mhm.
because we see it so much now, we're getting numb to it? Because it's sort of like the school shootings and the mass shootings, like we see it so much now that it's like, okay, you know.
I do. I do think we become numb. I don't think we're becoming, well, yeah, you could put that in complacency also, because that's numbness when in compliance with it. And sometimes when we're silent and we don't stand up for stuff and we know it's wrong, we're agreeing with our silence because we're not standing up.
But
And I
what
know
about
some people,
individuals? Go ahead.
uh-huh,
What about individuals
individuals.
who are, what about when we stand up and the results that we get don't, go in our favor? Do you think there's a frustration that kind of comes along with it? So it's like, why fight? Why advocate? Why stand up if the same thing is just going to happen?
Yes, I do agree with that. I think a lot of people become, as you said, frustrated. They stand up, they're taking a risk,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no results. Where I think we're missing is that strong leadership that we had at one time. You had your Malcolm X and your Martin Luther Kings, and you have, other leaders in place that had a voice, and people actually was hearing what these people had to say. Even Bobby Seale from the Black Panther Party, they were not negative people. They were just standing up for the
Yeah.
rights of Black people. Because when you're being put down and you're being treated badly because of your skin tone, you're not given the same type of education. And then when you think back then to now, they stood up, and it was a lot of them, but they made them into a terrorist group.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm X was by himself, but he still was considered a terrorist.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King, he's a reverend doctor,
Mm-hmm.
considered a terrorist, because anyone who goes up against the system becomes the terrorist.
Yeah.
And that's where you, as the person, the frustration sets in, because you're right. And is this spiraling me backwards? What am I doing? Am I wasting my time? Who hears me? Am I changing
Yeah.
anybody?
Yeah. Do you think that we will have another Black leader in our lifetime?
Oh boy, I don't know if we will see it. I don't know. And even if we are, we'll probably be older and see
Mm-hmm.
it. I do think it may be out of the generation behind us or even younger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, these children, especially like my granddaughter's age, they're very intelligent for their
Mm-hmm.
age. Like, they don't take things either very for face value. Um, the questioning, asking questions for
Mm-hmm.
clarity to understand why you're making a decision in such a way.
Yeah.
Um, Even with Black Lives Matter, the women that decided to put this together, they honestly put themselves out on a limb when you really think about it.
Yeah.
And they have all of these followers. But then something happened to Black Lives Matter where it's starting to look like it's negative. And I don't think it is. I think
Mm-hmm.
people are just looking at it like it's negative because that's what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess when you said, excuse me, your granddaughter, how, kids now are very inquisitive. They are more vocal. Do you think it's
Hmm.
because we're raising our kids different? And this is just a different time?
I do think it's a different time. I also think that we don't want them to always be silent to things that they can speak up about. You
Yes.
have a voice, you
Mm-hmm.
have an opinion. And I think we need to value other people's opinion. You may not agree with everything a person has to say, but we can at least respect them for their thoughts,
Absolutely.
that they had an opinion about a topic.
Yes. Yeah, I just see the world now as becoming less tolerant for some reason. Like
Hmm.
people, and this is like all this whole, I'm navigating through this whole thing of just hardcore racism now. Because this is something that may have been around, but now I have a front row seat to this whole Confederate flag thing. It's more like a
Yeah,
Southern thing. So
yeah,
I'm up north. So it's just different for me now navigating. Just it's a disbelief. Like, wow, is this what my grandmother went through? you know, is this
yeah.
with even the Karens, like just the nerve and the gall. Like these are things that I have not gone through early on in life. So me, and if
Mhm.
they felt that way, it was kind of hidden. So now with everybody kind of being more vocal, less tolerant, and just really, more upfront with how they feel, notice that some things really don't need to be said. Some things can be left unsaid, just because of the impact that it has on others.
True. Not every battle we have to go to, but when we do go to the battle, let's go as a cohesive group.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about the African American community, some of us come together, some of us do not.
Mm-hmm.
And that is also because they're, as we were talking earlier, about their own problems, their own issue with themselves. They can't find themselves to come together with another person because
Mm-hmm.
maybe the biggest thing is envy, you
Mm-hmm.
know, plays a big role there. Instead of trying to find out how the person got there, they rather dislike them and hate them for what they achieved. No, if we do it together and you learn from the person, you can have it too. No one is stopping you from getting it, only you are stopping yourself. So you
Absolutely.
can't dislike another because of the way that person or how they're moving forward in life. But I do think as a community, we suffer the most. We
Yes,
do.
we do.
And you and I both worked in corrections, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I can tell you by observation, I notice how the groups work together, except for the African American group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Think about
Definitely in the correction facility.
it, right?
It's very, yes, segregated in that
Very
way.
segregated.
Mm-hmm.
And Black young men in there segregate themselves for no
Yes,
apparent reason.
yes.
When
Yeah, it's definitely an issue with the segregation within the criminal justice system. Well, actually, within the correcting facilities, with the Bloods and the Crips, and sometimes
Mhm,
the Muslim gang. Well, not the Muslim gang.
mhm,
So everything is like segregated by that. So I'm going to go with this
yeah,
gang for protection, then I'm going to go over here for protection, or maybe I'm going to change my religion because of certain protections that are needed for me to get through. So it's definitely, and I don't think people really know that that's a fact, and it's awful.
mhm.
It's awful to see.
Yeah, it is awful to see. So that is a clear example of why we need to put our differences aside and start working together. And our communities can be so much different when you think about all of the communities after Reconstruction. They built those communities together as a whole. They really did. Like they really worked and were so successful. But look who came in and destroyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But these communities stayed together. They
Yeah,
worshiped together. They
yeah,
ate together. They did a lot together. They had their businesses, and each one would support each person. So it's just we've come a long way from that. And I don't know what rabbit hole we're going down, but we're definitely going down in these rabbit holes and just watching some of these politicians and the ones that they don't even see themselves as a Black person any longer. I don't
yeah.
know who they are.
Yes.
I have no clue who these people are. But that's another classic example of seeing or looking at oh, I don't want the Black community to prosper. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. And it is strife in every community. There's strife in every community.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, they still stick together. They still have each
They
other's
do.
backs in other communities.
They
Like
do.
rather, I mean, it's something about them having that internal turmoil, but they are still like bonded and branded
Yes.
together, where they will rather kind of have their own community come up, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I think sometimes we need to take tips from other cultures on how we can be cohesive
Mm-hmm.
and work together and don't think the next person is always going to be a threat to you because that's not always true. That person may be the one that's going to look out for you and make sure that you make it in this
Yes.
world and just be that soundboard for you.
Yes.
The person that needs some true support, you can provide it because you're there with your arms open
Absolutely.
and saying, "Hey, I can do this with you."
Absolutely. And
And
everybody
and
needs someone. Everybody needs.
yes,
We're humans. We are social creatures. You know,
yes.
everybody needs someone, but we are thought to believe, oh, I can make it on my own. I can do this on my own. I can. But no, actually, we can't.
Mm-hmm. And that brings me to one of our questions. Although we are sitting here having round talk, we really are. I'm gonna now talk about one of our questions. So this is under the mental health category. Does your religion or culture or some other aspect of your identity or background influence how you think about mental health? That's part one of the question. Well, that's the whole question. If so, how?
Yeah.
So, do you think it plays a role?
Yes, I see it. I see it
Okay.
every day with the clients that I treat. It does, and that goes into kind of being more culturally competent as to what ethnicities, what cultures, what religious backgrounds, and how they feel, their views towards therapy, their views toward mental illness. It's something that I think that really holds people back from getting therapy and getting the help that they need, because some communities or ethnicities and cultures don't even believe in mental illness. For a long time, even in the African American community, we are just coming to light where it's okay to get therapy. It's okay to even talk about getting therapy. So we no longer have to kind of get it in silence, right?
Yes.
It definitely impacts, how we see ourselves and how we see our mental wellness.
Mm, mm. Do you think so? Let's isolate a couple of things in this question. Let's start with religion and let's unpack religion. There's so many different religions, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, when it comes to mental health, most of the time you hear let's pray on it. You
Mm-hmm.
can actually do both. You're
Mm-hmm.
not sliding your religion or God by getting the help that you need. Realize that God put people here for a
Yeah.
reason with certain skills.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jesus was an advisor. He
Mm-hmm.
did. He advised people, he healed people, but he talked to them and provided
Mm-hmm.
support. Although he wasn't considered back then a counselor,
Mm-hmm.
but he was doing counseling
Mm-hmm.
because he helped you look at what God means and how you can incorporate him in your life. That if you spin that right now and we give people tools, we're giving you the tools
Yeah.
that God will give you, and he's giving it through us. We are the conduit, and that's us giving you what he knows that you need. But you're thinking that overall it should just be religion to just play the solid role.
Yeah, and medication is a miracle. I know that some church communities now are kind of being more open minded to the thought of therapy, knowing that the deacons and reverends and those that are providing these religious services are not enough. Sometimes people
Yeah.
need more, and sometimes it may be enough, but everybody's different. Everybody's an individual. So just really kind of ushering them to kind of their space of wellness and not condemning them for getting therapy.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. It's something I've definitely been seeing in the religious communities. It's a good thing. And hopefully that's something that, will continue.
Yes. And what we're saying to you all that are listening today, watching us live, is that it is okay to have both. It's okay. But know how to gel them together because you can fuse them together.
Mm-hmm.
Once you fuse them together, things will begin to make sense to you because you need spirituality to
Mm-hmm.
get through things
Yeah.
because you're a spiritual being. Don't
Mm-hmm.
forget that part. You're a spiritual being, but you have another spiritual being who has feelings and energy that's giving you something you need. Not all therapists you're going to gel with. So let's start there. When that doesn't happen, it is okay for you to find someone else that you're
Mm-hmm.
able to exchange healthy energy with. Okay? Because
Absolutely.
that's what it is. You just said that, Rajanta, that we are social beings. That, yes, we are. So that means I can feel what you're feeling. That
Yeah.
empathy is also a feeling, you guys. It is the feeling of understanding as well, because you're understanding what the person is going through. You don't
Yes.
have to sympathize with them, you're empathizing with them. Totally different.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important. Also, like you
Mhm.
said, gelling with your therapist, it is so important because how will I feel comfortable just really being able to really talk and express myself in a way of not feeling judged if I don't feel comfortable talking. If I'm thinking that person's going to judge me from the rip, or they're kind of looking at me crazy, during the session, or just giving advice just based off of what they think might be right for them. You know um,
Right.
is very, very important. It can really make a break. And even some therapists, you think that you can make or break somebody's life, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if you do not properly advise them, or if you are not properly, using the correct treatment modality with them. You can make or break somebody's life.
Yes, you can. And going back to religion, do you find at times religion or religious leaders can be very judgmental about
Mhm.
counseling.
Absolutely. I would say judgmental just all together. Sometimes I know for me, I grew up Pentecostal. It was very judgy. I felt as though, myself and my mother, we were kind of looked down upon because we weren't rich. We didn't have a lot. So I was a very judgy time, and it really pushed me away from going to church, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm never going to that type of church again just because of what I've experienced, the traumas I've experienced from that, kind of being judged and really not feeling enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because in religion, if we are to understand it, if we're supposed to be forgiving, how can you be forgiving and judgmental at the same
Yeah.
time? I'm trying to
Yes.
understand that. I can't wrap my head around that. I know that there is a higher being. There's a
Mm-hmm.
mighty God that we serve. Yes, we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're here. We exist, we breathe, we do everything. However, man took what God gave down as here are these things I want you to follow. So there may be rules or however people want to look at it, commandments, however. But how do you take that and then you become God all of a sudden?
Mm-hmm.
You're the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Mm-hmm.
So why should I come to you for anything if you're going to judge me? So
Mm-hmm.
just as simple as simplistic as me saying to my pastor, let's just say for conversation's sake, you go into your pastor, you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go into counseling and because I think I need it. What? Why would you go into counseling? I'm your counselor. I tell you, all you got to do is pray, pray, pray. But that's not always the case because if the person is going through schizophrenia,
Yes.
bipolar,
Yes.
anxiety, depression,
Yes.
grieving, they're going to need more than that.
Yes. Definitely those mood disorders, definitely. And I think that that stuff doesn't get addressed. There's people that are walking around every day undiagnosed.
Yes.
And that's scary, you know.
Yep.
And just me kind of learning more about, the mental illnesses and working in the psychiatric ward, like I'm like blown away because these are the same people that you see sitting downtown or at the train station, and it is scary,
Yes, it
when
is.
you kind of look at them and you're like, wow, these are the same
Yes.
behaviors I see now at the train station. So
Right.
it can pop off at any moment. It's scary.
It is very scary.
Treated
Yes, mental
mental
health is
illness.
very scary. Mood disorders are very, very scary, you all, and they are. A person that has schizophrenia, I'm going to be honest here, you cannot pray that away on
Mhm.
its own. You cannot do that. Can you pray for the person? Yes. Can you help the person pray for themselves? Yes, but that's if they're there. And I'm talking about they're cognizant, like they are aware of what's happening. A person that has a severe mood disorder like that, they're mostly in a state of hallucination most of the time. So they don't know what's real or not. So you have to
Absolutely.
be careful. You
Absolutely.
could, am I right?
You're
Okay.
right.
Because
No,
you've
you're
seen these people, you've seen them, and
right.
they are, like you said, they're scary because you don't know when they're going to pop off because they
Mm-hmm.
are going to pop off at some point.
Yes.
I think a lot of times we laugh at it and we think it's funny, but it's really not funny because they can really hurt you.
Yes. Yes. And untreated, untreated. And just know that some
Untreated.
diagnoses, especially those mood disorders, bipolar and schizophrenia, sometimes they're
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed later on in life. Like I have patients who have college degrees, who were nurses and who were doing these big things in their career. Now they have this mental illness. So just
Yeah.
definitely, be mindful of it. And it's not to say that you cannot live well with the mental illness, but it has to be treated. It has to be treated.
Amen. It has
It's
to be
not something
treated.
you'll
And
pray
also,
away. It's not something that Big
yes,
Mom can fix with a pan of biscuits.
yeah,
Like it has to be treated.
it has to be treated. I agree with you. And so the other thing to piggyback off of what you're saying as well, a lot of symptoms lie dormant in our bodies, okay? From high blood pressure to mental health disorders. They're sleeping, but one day something wakes it up. If you feel that you're not yourself, go get some help. Start with your primary doctor. Tell your primary doctor, I can't sleep at night. I'm also starting to hear things.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yes.
Don't judge yourself, because that's what you're going to do first, because that's your normal uh recourse, is you're going to judge yourself, because the world is judgmental. Okay, let's be honest here. The world is judgmental, so you're going to judge yourself. Am I really hearing what I'm hearing? Yeah, if you're hearing voices and the voices are telling you something, or you're answering them and y'all having full-blown conversations, talk to someone, because you need help. Walk into that office and say, I need help.
Yes.
This is what Rajanta is saying to you all. It is a serious matter, a mood disorder.
Yeah,
It's
and it's
serious.
easier now with the mental illness. I mean, it's
Yeah.
stigma, but it's way less stigma. And especially since COVID
Relax.
kind of
Yeah.
comes with so many different resources now and services, we can kind of get
Yes.
help. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely tap into that resource. Why should you have to suffer?
You
Why should
sure
you have to
don't.
suffer in silent when there's people who can assist you, when there's medication, you can kind of get you back
Yes.
to being,
Yes.
still to your normal self as possible.
Yes. And what normal is, you know what your norm is, and
Mm-hmm.
your norm is can be average. It is
Mm-hmm.
not up to us to judge that you're averagely getting through life. That's the way you are right now. That's it. That's
Absolutely.
all you can give. And be okay with that. That's
Yes.
all you can give.
Yes.
Culture. When we look at culture and mental health, each culture see mental health services also very different, like mental health in general.
Yes.
Which culture do you think is more harder about, more judgmental rather, about
Mm.
mental health? Which
I
one you
think,
think?
I think there's many. I will say, um, white people, they go get help.
Yeah, say it again, girl. They
They
do it.
go and get help.
Mm-hmm.
They're the first ones in line getting help.
Yep.
And they're open to the whole culture of mental illness, mental wellness, and
Yeah.
getting the help that
Yeah.
they need. And you know what? I don't know whether it's because of a lot of the Western culture is kind of geared towards medication and help. You know, people who kind of come from different cultures, I think Latino community, it's kind of can be difficult to treat that community, African
Yeah.
American communities.
Yeah.
Um, it's rough. It's
Yeah.
rough. It's rough because I think some individuals don't have that support. They don't have family support when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be looked down at. I think about Native Americans as well. That
Mm-hmm.
population and how hard it is to treat. The support of
Mm-hmm.
not being shamed. Um, just knowing that they're going to be okay. And it takes a village. It takes a village. It's just very important to be able to have that village to kind of usher you along the way and cheer you along as you're kind of getting your wellness journey.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It does take a village. So it goes back to the discussion we had a while back also about empathy, understanding what empathy is. You
Yeah.
empathize with that person, then you can understand and identify the need. What is the need that this person really needs right now? What would that feel like if I stepped into their shoes? So
Yeah.
that actually puts you out of the place of being judgmental.
Mhm.
See, something as simple as empathizing puts
Mhm.
you out of that category of being judgmental. So I think people also have to be very cautious and careful how you can also trigger a person that might be actually going through something like a mood disorder.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, just overall can set the person off where they can have a panic attack in front of
Mhm.
you because of
Mhm.
something you said.
Yeah.
Um, so let's empathize a little bit more so we can remove ourselves from the state of judgment.
Absolutely. Definitely give some compassion. You never know what
Mhm.
somebody's going through. You never know what they even went through just yesterday, right? When you see people, sometimes you don't know. You just see them,
Mhm.
and sometimes people are really good at masking, their emotions. So just being more compassionate, giving people grace to meet them where they are, and knowing that everybody's not going to have a good day. No one
That's right.
asks for a mental illness. That's not something that people ask for. You know,
Right.
um, it's something that happens, just like
Right.
a broken leg, or maybe just like a migraine. It's something that just happens.
Yes. Exactly. I'm going to ask this question. How have you been able to tell that someone understands what you have experienced or felt? This is under the category of empathy.
Yeah, I want to say just somebody kind of reassuring me that they kind of know. Somebody just having that listening ear, because I don't always need feedback. Sometimes I just need people to listen to me,
Mhm.
um, and just give me good eye contact, or even just let me know that things are going to be okay. That's something that people have done for me, just to let me know that they are empathetic to me, that they hear me, and that they see me.
Mhm.
Even in that present space for me while I'm going through just different things that I have, experienced and still go through.
Mhm. Overall, I guess it's safe for us to say that life is education every day. You're
Hmm.
being educated every day in different levels in your life, from being a baby to a grown woman, okay, or grown man. You are experiencing and educating yourself daily. And guess
Hmm.
what? People that come into your life is educating you on how they treat you and you treat them. It's how you take it. What do I do with this? Okay. If you and I having a conversation as we're doing right now, I'm understanding a lot of what you're saying. I can also sit and say, you know what? She's been through some stuff in her life, right? So I can empathize with the things she's been through. It doesn't mean we experience the same
Yeah.
exact thing, but I
Yeah.
can open up and hear what she's saying, and I don't have to give you feedback. And
Hmm.
we got to know those cues also, because a person is talking to you. If they stop and pause, doesn't mean you jump in and say, oh, let me give you an answer.
Yes.
Let them pause for a minute because they have something else to say. Sometimes you deter them when you begin to ask questions or give your opinion. Take the pause as a moment where they need to release what they just gave you, which is that energy of building up that energy. Have you ever been in a position where you had to build yourself up to say something?
Yes. It happens. And then you're ready to dump. And once it kind of those doors open, you're like, okay, well, this, and this. Sometimes it takes
Yes.
a minute to kind of get there. Sometimes we're going to build up our courage, our confidence, because we never know how people are going to receive us, receive what we say. And if it's
Mhm.
someone we have a good relationship with, we don't want them to kind of receive it in a way that it wasn't meant for them to. So,
That's right.
mhm.
That's right. Exactly. So listening is the key. And that's something that in the comments it says listening to understand without judgment. That's right. Listen to understand without judgment, which means you really do need to listen to hear what the person's saying. That is you being attentive. That means you can't sit with your cell phone while they talking to you and you're texting. That means you're not listening to me.
Yes, yes. And
Or
that's right, right. And I'm trying to be more present with that because I'm doing always doing 100 things at once. So I'm at the bank getting a certified check. The guy's talking to me. I'm sitting here reading my emails while he's typing up my stuff on my phone. So he asks me questions. I'm trying to send an email. I'm like, you know what, girl, sit down, stop
sit
it,
down.
be
Yeah.
present. You know what?
Yeah.
This young man is nice and kind. He's helping you. Like, why can't you be present? You ain't gotta send that email. You can wait.
It takes 2 seconds to just pay attention to what he's doing.
Yeah, I didn't even have.
First
I didn't
thing,
have two
you mess
seconds.
around, you
I didn't have
signing
two
off for your
seconds,
food check.
and it was
You know,
wrong. He did it wrong. I gave him the wrong information. That's exactly what happened.
see? And that's what happens. And that's because we're not being attentive. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I do like what you said too. It depends on who is supporting you, who you know, and who you're engaging with. People that you know are gonna know well rather will sit there and actually listen to everything you're saying and give their undivided attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then you have others that really don't care about what you're saying.
Yes.
They will so-called hear you but don't hear you.
Yes.
And then this is where I would like people to begin to see, how do you deal with each person and what category do they go into in your life.
Mm.
I say that because some people can be very harmful to you and
Yes.
re-traumatize you over and over again.
Yes.
And then we're willing to continue to be re-traumatized because we keep letting this person
Mm-hmm.
pretend that they are paying attention to us. And we
Yes.
know they're not. It's nothing wrong with you finding that sole person you can talk to only. But
Yes.
know that the information they're receiving from you can't be used as a weapon later. That's
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta be cautious. Like you said, be cautious about who you're talking to. Because I tell you what, that will harm you more than anything. When that
Yes.
stuff is thrown back at you in the most vicious and nasty way, and you are so stunned by it because you're like, wow, I thought this person was listening to me because they love me and they didn't give me any feedback back, but they was absorbing what I was saying. And then the one
Ammunition.
moment we don't agree, look what happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it puts you in a place of distrust and being fearful of trusting others, especially people
Mm-hmm.
who you're supposed to have this bond. This bond.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Again, life is full of lessons. So take the lessons and utilize them to your ability, like filter what you want to learn from it. Because not every lesson or everything we learn in that day is what we're going to take everything in.
Yes.
Um, Experiencing people. How do you experience them? What do you do with them? How do you deal with them?
Mm.
Also, check in with you, check in with your feelings. If you
Yeah.
feel that people are rubbing you the wrong way, as I explained earlier, when as we opened up today, if a person is rubbing me the wrong way, I am going to analyze it and I'm kind of trying to figure out what's going on here. But what I don't do any longer is after growing up, I don't blame myself for other people's problems. I'm not doing that anymore. That's a lesson learned because I know the problem doesn't belong to me. And taking on someone else's issue is not my issue. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I mean solely is if a person is mean, nasty, vicious, and this is what they do all day long, that is not my problem.
Yes.
And we got to know when to mind our business and just say, you know what, you could talk about me all day long. It's not even my business what you say about me. I
Yeah.
don't care because I got
Yes.
to keep going. And that is a lesson that I learned throughout my lifetime now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
51, I'll be 52 this year. So I'm learning that everything you don't have to go to.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Absolutely. Every battle's not yours to fight.
It's not. It's not. But then sometimes I will say, when the time is right, you speak your piece and go on. Because you can do that. Speak your
Mm-hmm.
piece and move on. You don't have to revisit that person ever again in your life if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
That goes for friends, that goes for family, that goes for working colleagues, all of that. Just
Absolutely.
know when to address it and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stay in that place
Mm-hmm.
because that means you're going to begin to sink right back down to where
Yes.
you probably have been before.
Yes. Absolutely.
You
And it doesn't have to be a big confrontation.
no.
Confrontation. I know people think, oh, well, you know how people always say, oh, I don't like conflict. The people who usually say, I don't like conflict, I notice those are the people that's always bringing the smoke. They always want conflict. So when
All
someone,
the time.
and I'm just like, what you mean you don't like conflict? You always got conflict going on.
Always got an issue. Always have an issue
Get a
with somebody
disclaimer,
else.
reverse disclaimer.
Always, always. And it's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah.
Always have an issue with someone else. So next month is, I believe, isn't it next month is mental health month next week?
Yes, I
Next
think
month.
so. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I would definitely like for us to touch on some topics. I do want to try to bring a guest on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm hoping that we can hit some good topics for in the next two on the couch sessions that we have because we always meet at least twice a month. But it's important because it's mental health month and this
Yeah.
is the field we're in.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about things. And I'm glad we did bring up like some mood disorders, and maybe that's something we can really address a little bit more. Is what are mood disorders? So you all can have an understanding of what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what happens when a family member or a friend, someone close to you, experience that, and what do you do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Those that are actually experiencing a mood disorder and they have it themselves, you hearing the information and then what you do with it. So I do want to, hone in on some mental health topics,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's roundtable talk topics, but really honing into that. And then possibly, if we can, our next session is to actually have someone come on, or maybe a few people. I would like to, I know a young man that he is also in mental health as well. I would love to bring him on, and a few other people, so we can have an actual roundtable talk.
Be
So I would
wonderful.
love for you all to, those of you that are listening to us and following us, if you have a topic that you do want to talk about, put it out there on the Facebook page. I'll pull it off and then do some research and come back. But I do want to address mental health for next month. Very
Yes.
important.
Very, very.
Very important. So we are at the end of our show. This discussion, as always, was terrific. We miss Michelle this time, and Sanella as well. But we there will catch up. These ladies are lovely. They give back to their community. They have things that they need to do as well, like we all do. But we always want to serve our community on this platform as well. We're here for you all. We want to hear what you have to say, and also note that again, we're providing information to the community at large, and continue to follow us, reach out to us, and we're hoping that you have a blessed day. Rajanta, do you have any outgoing comment?
Yes, I do. I just want to just let everybody know that life is not a competition. We all have our own unique journey and pace. Just remember, success is not measured by how much you can handle, but how you handle what comes your way, right?
Mhm.
We will pace ourselves as we kind of get through this thing called life.
Yes, and thank you for those in the comment box, letting us know we had a great show. We appreciate that feedback, because that's what's going to help us grow too. Your feedback, and we're willing to take it because it is necessary for growth. And sometimes we may not always want to hear what we want to hear, or things negative or positive or whatever, but we need to hear the stuff so growth can happen. We're not perfect, but we
Mm-hmm.
thank you for following us. We thank you for giving us comments so that we can go back and we discuss it. And what you don't know in the back scenes, we do discuss your comments. And then we take that, and then that's what we grow the audience, and then we grow the topics, because we hear your comments and we're like, wow, that person comment was awesome. Let's take that and roll it into another show. So just know that we really appreciate you all giving us feedback, and it helps us grow. And we thank you so much. And we are hoping that you have a wonderful weekend, the rest of it. Go into work next week with a positive, a feeling, if you can, a positive, just ideals, because sometimes people can strip that away from you. And guess what? If it does happen, jump back on and say, your problem is your problem, and I'm going to keep mine to myself. Okay. I'm not going to let it go blend into what I'm doing, but know that also you're human. You're going to feel it. Check in with your feelings and say, hey, it's all right. I'm going to let it roll off my back and I'm going to be fine. So have a positive week coming up. And again, be safe, peace, love, and tranquility. Thank you for joining us on the couch. Have a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for joining on the couch this evening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and if you want to contact Dr. Diamond, you may reach her at candidconversations.dr.d@gmail.com. Have a great evening, and we will see you on the next show.